The night was quiet in the small village. Smoke rose slowly from the chimneys, and most houses had already gone dark. Only one place still burned with firelight, the blacksmith's forge. Inside, the sound of hammer and steel echoed like a heartbeat in the night. The blacksmith, a tall and broad man, worked alone. His face was covered with soot, and sweat ran down his neck. His arms were strong from years of shaping iron and steel. To him, the forge was not just a place of work. It was his world, his only companion. For years, he lived a simple life. He repaired farming tools, made horseshoes, and sometimes crafted swords for passing soldiers. People respected him for his skill, but no one truly knew him. He kept to himself. His life was fire, steel, and silence. But on this stormy night, everything changed. A strange sound broke the rhythm of his hammer. At first, he ignored it, thinking it was only the wind rattling the shutters. But then he heard it again, a scratching, weak and desperate, right outside the door. He froze. Slowly, he put down his hammer. The forge fire crackled, filling the room with orange glow. His heart beat faster. Few visitors ever came this late, and none would scratch like that. The sound came again, this time softer, almost like a cry. The blacksmith walked to the door and hesitated. His large hand hovered over the handle. Something inside him whispered to stay away, but curiosity, stronger than fear, pushed him forward. When he opened the door, the storm outside rushed in, cold and wild. Rain hit his face, and the wind roared like a beast. He looked down, and his breath caught. There, lying in the mud, was a creature he had only seen in old tales. A dragon. It was small, no bigger than a dog, but its body shimmered faintly in the stormlight. Its scales were a dull silver, covered in dirt and blood. One wing was bent at a terrible angle, broken and useless. Its eyes, bright and golden, looked up at him with both fear and pain. The blacksmith's first instinct was to slam the door shut. A dragon was dangerous, even a baby one. He had heard stories of fire, of villages burned to ash. But when he looked closer, he saw something else. Helplessness. The little creature trembled. It made a weak sound, almost like a whimper. Tried to move but fell back into the mud. The blacksmith's chest tightened. Against his better judgment, he stepped forward. Carefully, slowly, he lifted the creature in his arms. It was lighter than he expected, but he felt its fragile heartbeat against his chest. He carried it inside and placed it near the warm forge. The dragon blinked at the firelight, its golden eyes reflecting the flames. For a moment, man and beast just stared at each other. "Why did you come to me?" the blacksmith whispered, though he expected no answer. The dragon only let out a soft sound, curling weakly against the heat of the forge. The blacksmith knelt, inspecting its wing. It was broken badly, flesh-torn, bone-shattered. No normal healing could save it. The blacksmith knew this. He had seen men with crushed arms and shattered legs. But this was worse. Still, something stirred in his mind. He was a maker of steel, a builder of things that lasted. And now, before him, lay a creature that needed him in a way no man ever had. He stood, pacing the room. His thoughts battled inside his head. If the villagers see this, they will kill it. If the queen's soldiers find out, they will kill me. But if I do nothing, this creature will die anyway. The forge fire popped loudly, as if demanding his answer. Finally, he sighed and sat back down. "I cannot turn you away," he muttered. The dragon shifted as if it understood. He brought water, washing away the blood and mud. The dragon winced but did not resist. Its scales shone faintly under the dirt, like silver touched by starlight. When he finished, he wrapped it in an old blanket and placed it closer to the fire. Slowly, the trembling stopped, and the dragon's eyes closed in weak rest. The blacksmith leaned back, staring at the ceiling. His heart was heavy, his mind racing. Part of him was afraid. Another part felt something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. Hours passed, and the storm outside grew wilder. Lightning flashed across the night, and thunder rolled like the voice of angry gods. But inside the forge, There was only the soft breathing of a dragon and the crackle of fire. The blacksmith did not sleep. He sat in his chair watching the creature. His thoughts turned over and over. Could it fly again? Could it survive? His eyes fell on his tools, his hammers, his steel, his anvil, and slowly an idea began to take shape in his mind. An impossible idea. If I can build armor for men, could I build a wing for a dragon? The thought made him shake his head. It was madness. A blacksmith was no healer, no wizard. But as the storm raged, the thought refused to leave him. The dragon stirred in its sleep, letting out a small cry. The blacksmith looked at it again, and his decision hardened. He would try, but deep in his chest he felt a shadow of dread. Saving this creature would not go unnoticed. Something told him that this night was only the beginning, and far beyond the storm, in a great castle lit by torches, a queen stood by her window. She looked into the storm with cold eyes, as if she already knew that destiny had begun to move. The storm had passed, but the blacksmith's mind could not rest. All through the night, he kept watch over the strange creature he had brought into his forge. The little dragon lay wrapped in the blanket, breathing softly, its broken wings stretched at an unnatural angle. The blacksmith sat at his workbench, staring at the wing. The injury was too severe. No healer, no medicine could repair it. In truth, the dragon's flying days were over. And yet, a thought kept circling in his mind. Steel does not break the way bone does. Steel does not rot the way flesh does. He looked at his tools, the hammers and tongs, the metal scraps that lay scattered across the bench. He had built armor that saved men's lives. He had reforged blades broken in battle. Was it madness to think he could build something more? He turned to the dragon. His chest rose and fell with slow breaths. The creature looked peaceful now, but he knew that peace would not last. Without flight, a dragon was weak. Without wings, it was nothing but prey. The blacksmith clenched his fists. "I will not let you die," he whispered. He pulled a piece of parchment and began to draw. His hands moved quickly, sketching the shape of a wing. He thought of gears, joints, and rivets. He thought of light steel that could bend and move like bone. He thought of leather straps to hold the frame to the creature's body. The fire in his forge burned low, but the fire inside him burned bright. For the first time in years, his work was not for coin. It was not for farmers or soldiers. It was for something greater, something alive. Hours turned into days. The blacksmith gathered metal scraps, shaping them into curved plates. He studied the dragon whenever it woke, watching how its good wing moved, how the joints folded and stretched. The dragon, though weak, seemed to sense his intention. It no longer feared him. Instead, it followed him with its golden eyes, watching as he worked. Sometimes, it would let out a soft sound, almost like encouragement, and every time the blacksmith's resolve grew stronger. But as he worked, whispers began to spread in the village. People wondered why the blacksmith kept his forge burning late into the night. They wondered why he bought unusual pieces of metal, why he asked for leather stronger than what was used for saddles. Some said he was building something dangerous. Others whispered that he had been visited by a stranger in the storm. And whispers, as always, traveled far. One evening, as the blacksmith tightened the bolts on a small steel frame, the dragon lifted its head. Its ears twitched, and it let out a warning hiss. The blacksmith froze. He heard it too. Footsteps outside. He quickly covered the unfinished wing with a cloth and checked the door. His forge was not a place of visitors. Most came during the day, not at night. Slowly he opened the door. A man stood outside, cloaked in dark green. Rain dripped from his shoulders, though the sky was now clear. His eyes were sharp, and his voice carried authority. "Are you the blacksmith?" the man asked. The blacksmith nodded, silent. The stranger studied him for a long moment, then spoke again. "The queen has heard of your skill. She seeks craftsmen who can do more than simple work. She asks for your presence." The blacksmith's stomach tightened. The queen? She had never once cared for men like him. "Why now?" "I am no one important," the blacksmith replied. My work is plain. The man gave a small, cold smile. Plain? Then why do villagers speak of fire that never dies in your forge? Why do they say you hammer the night away, as though building something the world has never seen? The blacksmith's heart pounded. Had someone seen the dragon? He forced a calm expression. People talk too much. I fix plows and swords, nothing more. The stranger tilted his head, unconvinced. But after a pause he said, The queen does not send me to ask twice. Be ready. She will come. And without another word, the man turned and walked into the night. The blacksmith closed the door, leaning against it with heavy breaths. His eyes darted to the forge. The dragon lay still in the shadows, hidden under blankets. The queen, he muttered. His mind raced. If she came, and if she discovered the creature, there would be no mercy. Dragons were feared, hunted, destroyed. And if she knew he had hidden one, his life would be forfeit. He sat down heavily, his hand running through his soot-covered hair. For the first time since the dragon had appeared, he doubted himself. Maybe he should have let it die in the storm. Maybe he should have sent it away. But then the dragon moved. It dragged itself closer to him, weak but determined, until its head rested against his boot. It let out a faint sound, not of fear, but of trust. The blacksmith's throat tightened. He reached down, his rough hand brushing against the scales. No, he whispered. I will not abandon you. That night he worked harder than ever. His hammer rang louder, his forge burned hotter. Every strike of steel was a promise. He would finish the wing. He would give the creature back its sky. But deep inside he knew time was short. The queen was coming. And when she arrived, his secret would either destroy him or change his fate forever. The forge fire burned low when morning came. The blacksmith's eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his hands had not stopped moving. Metal lay scattered across the bench, shaped into thin frames, gears, and hinges. The design for the dragon's new wing was slowly becoming real. The little dragon rested on a pile of blankets near the fire. It was stronger now. Its golden eyes followed the blacksmith with quiet attention, as though it understood his every move. Sometimes it tried to stretch its broken wing, but the pain always made it cry out. The blacksmith would stop his work then, kneeling to calm it. You will fly again, he whispered. I promise. But deep in his heart the blacksmith worried. The queen's messenger had warned him that she would come. The queen never traveled without reason. If she stepped into his forge, if she saw the dragon, everything would end. The blacksmith thought of hiding the creature in the forest. Yet the dragon was too weak to survive outside. It needed warmth, food, and care. And so, with every passing hour, he knew he was walking on the edge of danger. Days passed and tension grew in the village. People spoke of riders seen on the horizon, banners with the royal crest. The queen's guards were searching, though no one knew for what. Some villagers whispered that the queen was hunting treasure. Others said she sought a traitor. The blacksmith worked harder, hoping to finish the wing before she arrived. But fate did not wait. It was late afternoon when the knock came. A heavy, firm knock that carried authority. The dragon hissed from its corner, its scales bristling. The blacksmith's heart pounded. He quickly covered the half-built wing with a sheet of leather and tossed another blanket over the dragon. Then, wiping his soot-covered hands, he opened the door. Standing before him was a tall man in dark armor. His cloak bore the crest of the queen, a silver crown above crossed swords. His eyes were sharp, his face hard, and his voice carried no warmth. Blacksmith, the man said, you are summoned by Her Majesty. The blacksmith bowed his head slightly, keeping his face calm. Why would the queen summon me? The man studied him. Because word of your skill has reached her ears. She hears you shape steel in ways no other man can. She hears your forge burns when all others rest. She wishes to see your work. The blacksmith swallowed hard. He felt the dragon stir behind him, hidden under the blankets. He prayed the man would not notice. I am only a maker of tools, he said. There are better smiths in the capital. The man's eyes narrowed. "Are you refusing the queen's command?" The blacksmith shook his head quickly. "No, I would not dare." The messenger stepped closer, lowering his voice. "The queen believes destiny is moving. She believes the kingdom's future rests not in kings or armies, but in one man's hands. Do you understand what that means?" The blacksmith's chest tightened. Destiny. Future. The words made him uneasy. The messenger's gaze swept across the forge, his eyes pausing on the workbench, the scattered pieces of metal, the covered shape of the wing. The blacksmith stepped in front of it quickly, pretending to clean his hands. The messenger's lips curved in a faint smile. "Be ready. The queen comes soon. And when she does, she will see everything." With that, he turned and left, his heavy boots echoing on the cobblestones until silence returned. The blacksmith shut the door fast and locked it. His heart thundered in his chest. The dragon poked its head from under the blanket, its golden eyes wide with curiosity and fear. The blacksmith knelt beside it, his voice low. "We are running out of time." The dragon pressed its head against his arm, as if seeking comfort. For a moment, the blacksmith's fear softened. He was no hero, no soldier, no chosen man of destiny. He was just a smith who worked with fire and steel. And yet, here he was, preparing to defy a queen for the sake of a creature the world would call a monster. That night he worked without pause. Sparks filled the forge. Ringing metal echoed through the village. Every strike was a race against the future. He bent steel into the frame of a wing, shaped plates into feathers of silver, carved joints that could move like living bone. The dragon watched, its eyes reflecting the fire. Sometimes it gave a soft sound, as though urging him to hurry. By dawn, the blacksmith's hands were blistered, his body weak, but the shape of the wing was clear. It was far from finished, but it was real. He placed it gently beside the dragon, and for the first time, the creature stretched toward it, sniffing it as though it understood. The blacksmith smiled faintly. "Yes," he whispered, "this is yours." But even as hope warmed his chest, a shadow crossed the forge. The sound of horses filled the street. The clang of armor followed. Villagers shouted, rushing to their doors. The queen's soldiers had arrived. The blacksmith stood frozen. He knew what this meant. The queen had not simply summoned him. She had come herself. The dragon let out a soft hiss, sensing danger. The blacksmith's hands shook as he covered the steel wing and hid the dragon once more. His mind raced. What if she sees? What if she knows? The knock came again. But this time it was not the knock of a soldier. It was softer yet filled with command. When he opened the door, his heart nearly stopped. It was her, the queen herself. She stood tall, her gown shimmering like silver in the sunlight, her crown modest but heavy with authority. Her eyes, sharp and cold, looked directly at him. Yet behind that coldness he saw something else, sorrow. "Blacksmith," she said, her voice calm but powerful. "I have come to see the man who shapes destiny with fire." The blacksmith bowed his head, but his thoughts were in chaos. She had come. His secret was moments away from being revealed. Behind him, in the shadows, the dragon shifted. Its golden eyes glowed faintly, and the queen, though her gaze remained on him, seemed to notice. The blacksmith's hands trembled as he stood before the queen. He had imagined soldiers, tax collectors, even death at his door, but never her. The queen's presence filled the forge like a second fire. Her eyes studied everything, sharp and searching. She stepped inside without asking. The guards remained outside, but he could feel their shadows at the door. The queen's gown whispered softly against the stone floor as she walked deeper into the forge. She stopped near the anvil, running a delicate hand across its rough surface. "You work with fire and steel every day," she said softly. "And yet your hands shape more than tools. They shape destiny." The blacksmith's heart pounded. Her words reminded him of what the messenger had said. Destiny. Future. But how could that be? He was only a smith. "My queen," he said carefully, bowing his head. "I am just a worker. I build what people ask of me. Nothing more." The queen turned, her eyes locking onto his. They were not the cold eyes of a ruler giving orders. They carried a deep sadness, as though she carried a secret too heavy to bear. "Do not hide from me," she said. "I came here because I need you. The kingdom needs you." Her words struck him harder than any hammer. The queen herself, asking him for help? He did not understand. "What could I possibly give you, my queen?" The queen moved closer. The forge fire reflected in her eyes, making them look almost like molten gold. She lowered her voice. "War is coming. Enemies rise beyond our borders. Armies prepare to march. But I do not seek another sword or another shield. I seek something greater, a creator, a builder, someone who can make what others believe impossible." The blacksmith's chest tightened. Her words echoed his own secret thoughts. His steel wing, hidden under a leather sheet, burned in his mind. She stepped even closer, her voice almost a whisper. "I have watched the stars. I have listened to old prophecies. They speak of a man of fire and steel, a man who will bring back what was lost." Her gaze flicked toward the corner of the forge, toward the blanket that hid the dragon. The blacksmith's stomach dropped. Did she know? Could she feel the creature's presence? He moved quickly, stepping in front of the covered shape. His voice was steady, though fear gripped him. "I am loyal, my queen. I will serve you, but I am no prophet's man. I am only a blacksmith." The queen tilted her head, studying him. A faint smile touched her lips. Not cruel, not mocking, but almost knowing. "Perhaps," she said softly, "but perhaps you are more." Before the blacksmith could reply, a sound broke the silence. A soft whimper. The blacksmith froze. His heart stopped. The queen's eyes narrowed. The sound came again, louder this time. The dragon shifted under the blanket, restless and uneasy. The queen stepped past the blacksmith before he could stop her. With one swift motion, she pulled the blanket away. And there it was. The baby dragon lay curled on the floor, its golden eyes blinking at the sudden light. Its broken wings stretched awkwardly, and the steel plates of the half-built replacement glimmered faintly beside it. The queen inhaled sharply. For a moment, her face was unreadable. The blacksmith braced himself for the worst. He imagined her screaming for guards, ordering the creature's death, demanding his execution for treason. But she did not call out. She did not raise her voice. Instead, she knelt down, her gown pooling around her, and looked into the dragon's eyes. The forge was silent. Only the fire cracked and popped. Slowly, the dragon tilted its head, studying the queen with the same quiet curiosity it had shown the blacksmith. Then, to the blacksmith's shock, it let out a soft chirp, not of anger or fear, but of recognition. The queen's lips parted slightly, as though she had been holding her breath. Her hand hovered in the air, trembling, before she gently touched the dragon's snout. The creature did not resist. The blacksmith stared, unable to believe what he was seeing. The queen whispered, so softly that only he could hear, "So the prophecy was true." She looked up at him, her eyes shining with something he had never seen before, hope. "You hid this from me," she said, but her tone carried no anger. "And yet, I do not blame you. Dragons were hunted, slain, driven to the edge of extinction. To keep one alive is beyond courage." The blacksmith's voice shook. "I did not plan it. Came to me in the storm. I only wished to save it." The queen stood, her presence once again commanding, though her eyes still softened when they glanced at the dragon. "Perhaps it was not you who found it," she said. "Perhaps it was fate that brought it to you." The blacksmith swallowed hard. "What will you do, my queen?" The queen walked to the workbench, lifting the leather sheet that covered the unfinished steel wing. Her eyes widened as she studied it. "You built this for the dragon?" The blacksmith nodded slowly. "I thought, if I could not heal its wing, I could forge one. Steel can give back what life has taken." The queen ran her fingers along the smooth plates, her face unreadable. Then she turned back to him, and for the first time her voice carried something like urgency. "You must finish it," she said. Not only for the creature, but for all of us. If a dragon can rise again, if a dragon can fly, then hope itself will return to this kingdom. The blacksmith stared at her, torn between fear and awe. The queen was not here to destroy him or his secret. She was here to ask for his help. The dragon let out another soft cry, shifting toward the forge fire, its golden eyes reflecting both man and queen. The blacksmith looked at them both, the ruler of men and the creature of legend, and felt the weight of his choice pressing down on him. Would he risk everything to finish the wing, to stand with the queen and with the dragon? Or would he turn away and let destiny slip through his hands? The queen's gaze locked on him, steady and unyielding. "Tell me, blacksmith," she said, "will you forge more than steel? Will you forge the future?" The forge fell silent. The answer hung in the air. The forge was silent except for the fire. The queen stood tall, her hand resting gently on the unfinished steel wing. The baby dragon shifted beside the anvil, its golden eyes glowing softly in the dim light. The blacksmith's heart hammered in his chest. He had expected death when the queen uncovered the creature. Instead, she spoke of destiny. Instead of fear, her eyes carried hope. He did not know what to think. "My queen," he said at last, his voice low, "why do you not call your guards? Why do you not destroy it? Every story says dragons are enemies of man." The queen's gaze softened, though her voice carried weight. "Because those stories are lies. Lies told by men who feared what they could not control. Dragons were not our enemies. They were our guides, our guardians. They kept balance in the world. But greed destroyed them. Kings hunted them, soldiers killed them, and kingdoms cheered their deaths. And now," she paused, her eyes lowering, "now we pay the price. The balance is broken. War rises on all sides. The land bleeds." The blacksmith swallowed. He had heard of the wars beyond the borders, but they had always felt far away. Now, with the queen standing in his forge, speaking of prophecies and balance, the world suddenly felt much larger and much more dangerous. "You said a prophecy," he murmured. "What prophecy speaks of me?" The queen stepped closer. The firelight painted her face in shades of gold and shadow. "Long ago, the seers spoke of a man of fire and steel, a man who would shape the future with his hands. They said he would rise when the last dragon fell into despair, that he would bind flesh and flame with iron, and through him, dragons would return." The blacksmith's throat tightened. Fire and steel, flesh and flame. His eyes fell on the half-built wing, on the dragon that had come to him in the storm. "It cannot be me," he whispered. "I am no chosen man. I am no hero. I only hammer metal." The queen's eyes held his. "Perhaps destiny chooses not heroes, but the ones who never ask for it." The dragon shifted, stretching its broken wing with a weak cry. The blacksmith knelt quickly, calming it with gentle hands. He felt its fragile heartbeat, fast and desperate. The sight tore at him. Without flight, it would never survive. The queen watched him closely. Her voice lowered, softer now. "You care for it?" "Yes," the blacksmith said simply. "I did not mean to, but it came to me, and I could not let it die." The queen moved closer, her gaze falling on the dragon. For a moment, her cold mask slipped, and sorrow crossed her face. "When I was a child," she said, "I saw the last great dragon fall. Hunters speared it, its cries shaking the mountains. That sound has never left me. I swore, if ever the chance came, I would not let the dragons vanish forever. And now here one lives again, and you are the man holding its future in your hands." The blacksmith looked between her and the dragon, the weight of her words pressing down like an iron chain. "My queen," he said carefully, "if the world learns of this, they will not rejoice. They will come to kill it. They will come to kill me. Even your own court may not stand with you." The queen's expression hardened. "Then let them come. A throne without courage is already lost. But with you, with this creature, I can give my people more than war. I can give them hope." Her words stirred something inside him, something he had buried long ago. He had lived in silence, hammering steel for men who never remembered his name. But now, for the first time, his work mattered. His hands could change the fate of kingdoms. He looked again at the steel wing. He saw not madness but possibility. Slowly he stood. "If I finish it," he said, "if I give the dragon flight again, will you protect it? Will you protect me?" The queen did not hesitate. "By crown and by blood I swear it. You are no longer just a blacksmith. You are the maker of destiny." The dragon let out a soft chirp, as though agreeing. Its golden eyes glowed brighter, reflecting both man and queen. The blacksmith's resolve hardened. He would finish the wing, not for himself, not even for the queen, but for the creature that had trusted him, and for the hope it carried. Yet in the back of his mind, fear lingered. The queen's words spoke of prophecy, of destiny, of a future shaped by his hands. But destiny was never without cost. The forge fire roared, as if it too sensed the weight of what was to come. The queen placed a hand on his shoulder, firm and steady. "Work quickly. Enemies move faster than we think. Every hour is precious." The blacksmith nodded. His path was no longer his own. As the queen turned to leave, her guards stepped forward, but she raised her hand, stopping them. Her voice carried quiet authority. "No one enters this forge without my command. What lies here is not to be spoken of." The soldiers bowed, obeying without question. The blacksmith watched her go, her silver gown disappearing into the fading light outside. When the door closed behind her, he felt the forge grow heavier, as though the world itself pressed down on its walls. He turned back to the dragon. Its eyes followed him, trusting. He touched the steel plates, running his hand across the cold metal. "We will finish this," he whispered. "Together." The dragon gave a soft rumble, resting its head on the blankets. The blacksmith returned to his workbench, his hammer rising and falling, sparks flying into the dark. His arms ached. His body burned with exhaustion, but his spirit did not falter. Every strike was no longer just labor. It was purpose. It was destiny. But as night fell and the village slept, the blacksmith felt unease. The queen had sworn to protect them, but power always drew enemies. Somewhere beyond the horizon, in castles and war camps, men would hear whispers of a dragon reborn. And when they came, they would bring fire and blood. The blacksmith did not stop hammering. Yet in his heart, he wondered. When the storm returned, would steel be enough? The forge glowed brighter than ever before. Sparks flew like stars as the blacksmith struck the steel again and again. His arms ached. His hands were blistered, but he did not stop. The baby dragon lay close by, its golden eyes fixed on him, as if it too understood that everything depended on this moment. For 3 days and 3 nights the blacksmith worked. He shaped every plate, every hinge, every joint of the steel wing with care and precision. He poured not only his skill but also his heart into the creation. And when his strength failed, the queen herself came. She did not stand idly by. She held the bellows, she carried water, she brought him food, and sometimes, in the quiet hours, she simply sat and watched, her presence steady and unwavering. At last, as dawn broke on the 4th day, the steel wing was complete. It lay across the anvil, shining with firelight. Its silver plates curved like the feathers of some great bird, but stronger, sharper. It was not only a machine, it was a work of art. The blacksmith touched it with trembling hands. "It is ready," he whispered. The queen stepped closer. "Then let us give the dragon what fate has stolen." The blacksmith gently approached the hatchling. The creature chirped softly, tilting its head as though it knew what was about to happen. Carefully, with steady hands, he fastened the steel wing to its broken limb. The straps tightened, the hinges clicked, and the plates locked into place. The dragon flinched at first, but the blacksmith soothed it with gentle words. "Easy now. This is yours. This is who you are meant to be." When the final clasp closed, the dragon stretched its wings, one of flesh and scale, one of steel and firelight. The forge fell silent, as though the world itself held its breath. And then, with a sudden cry, the dragon leapt into the air. For a moment it stumbled. Its steel wing caught the light, gleaming like a blade. But then, with a powerful beat, the dragon rose higher. The fire roared in its chest, and sparks trailed from its wings. The queen gasped, her hand covering her lips. The blacksmith stood frozen, his chest tight with awe. The dragon flew. It circled the forge once, twice, 3 times. Each movement steadier than the last, until at last it soared through the open sky. The sun caught its wings, and for an instant, the hatchling looked not small and fragile but mighty, like a true dragon reborn. Tears filled the queen's eyes. "It lives," she whispered. "By the gods, it lives." The blacksmith wiped his brow, his heart swelling with pride and fear all at once. He had done it. He had given the creature flight again. But joy lasted only a heartbeat. From the distance, horns blared. The ground trembled with the march of soldiers. The queen's guards rushed into the forge, their faces pale. "My queen!" one cried. "Scouts have returned. An army approaches. They fly the banners of the eastern lords. They know of the dragon." The queen's face hardened. "So soon?" She turned to the blacksmith. "They will not allow this creature to live. They come to kill it, and us." The blacksmith's blood ran cold. He had feared this moment, but now it was here. The queen drew her sword, her voice strong and clear. "I will stand with you, blacksmith. We will not let them take what we have made." The dragon landed beside them, its steel wing gleaming, its eyes burning with fire. It let out a roar that shook the rafters. The sound was not weak or broken. It was powerful, alive, full of defiance. The blacksmith gripped his hammer. He had never been a soldier, never stood on a battlefield. But now, with the dragon at his side and the queen's trust upon his shoulders, he felt something stir within him. Courage. The army drew nearer, their torches flickering on the horizon. The queen placed a hand on the blacksmith's arm. "This is only the beginning. The world will come for us again and again. But tonight, we show them that the age of dragons is not over." The blacksmith nodded. His voice was steady. "Then let them come." The dragon spread its wings, one flesh, one steel, glowing with dawn's light. Flames licked from its jaws, and its roar split the sky. The blacksmith stood beside it, hammer raised. The queen stood on its other side, her blade shining. And in that moment, under the rising sun, 3 destinies became one. The blacksmith was no longer just a maker of tools. The queen was no longer just a ruler of men. The dragon was no longer the last of its kind. Together they were a beginning. The prophecy had spoken true. Fire and steel had joined. Flesh and flame had risen again. And though enemies gathered, though battles lay ahead, the blacksmith felt no fear. For he knew, deep within, that this was not the end. This was the dawn of a legend.